right, Stephen Key here, and today, holy smokes, I've got someone that is, I think, famous. Really, you're a world record holder in inline skating. Is that true? And first of all, pronounce your first name for me, for everybody.
Eitan Kramer.
Eitan Kramer. Thank you for coming on.
It's absolutely my pleasure.
But you're a world record holder, is that correct?
Yeah, so when I was 15 years old, I was fortunate enough to turn pro at inline skating on half pipes when that exploded onto the scene. So got to compete in all the X Games and had signature wheels and clothing. And the record you're referring to is actually for the highest air on a half pipe.
Okay.
So they built this very, very special, very tall half pipe at the time. It was the biggest one, I think, at the time ever built. It had a 33-foot roll-in on one side. So imagine standing on a 3-story building looking down with a slide, and a 20-foot kicker on the other side.
All right.
And so you would just roll in, gather as much speed as you possibly can, take off, hope you don't eat it, which when you do, it's like getting hit by a Mack truck.
Okay.
And thankfully I landed, and here we are today.
Well, where did that lead? Because now you're an entrepreneur, and now you've got a great product that's extremely cool, and we're going to cut in some video and show everybody. So how did you transition from, I'm an inline skater, I'm doing all the extreme sports, I'm here, and now I'm an entrepreneur. How was that transition? Was that an easy transition for you?
It was a long transition. It was filled with a lot of challenges along the way because the product wasn't the first sort of foray into entrepreneurship. Right. I left action sports and got into the fitness world and realized that there was this massive disparity between what I had come from and what I think anybody who loves sport comes from, which is just sort of the passion for the doing, and sort of the fitness element of all that stuff becomes a byproduct of going to surf, mountain bike, run, whatever it is. Into the fitness world, where I think as a trainer for many, many years, people don't like it. They don't like working out. And so my first sort of concept was take all of the cool elements of action sports and meld them with fitness and create this really immersive space for kids. And as you can imagine, it was probably pretty large. And given the fact that I had no experience at that point being an entrepreneur, let alone running a facility and raising significant capital off of a concept that wasn't proven at the time, some really smart friend of mine said, how do you take this 30, 40,000 foot experience and shrink it down such that somebody can hold it?
All right.
Literally, like, how can you sell this entire dream in something that you can give to somebody? And that kind of lit the spark of figuring out how that would all work.
Okay. So you've got let's talk about your product real quick, because I think it's very, very cool. But it's a kind of a cool thing to be fit, isn't it? I mean, you blended something that's fun to do, and it's good for your body, right? I mean, you kind of blended it. Is it a toy too, kind of? I mean, how do you blend them together? And what is it called, first of all?
Well, it's called MorfBoard.
Okay.
And interestingly enough, that has taken an interesting path. So if you could imagine this massive footprint of a facility, shrink it down into something that you can hold. At the time, my brain was still wrapped around this idea of melding action sports and fitness together. So I created an action sports fitness product.
All right.
So you could bounce on it, you could balance on it, you could roll out, you could do tons of really, really functional movements that are actually fun. And I think that the key there is if you can actually be developing skill while moving, it will bring people back. It'll be fun enough to bring the play aspect in. What ended up happening was I went after a Kickstarter. I had raised, a few $100,000 from friends and family, which, as you know, is the most nerve-wracking thing ever. We did a Kickstarter. It was beautiful. Everyone gave us the best response, and it didn't succeed. I was devastated, like absolutely.
Wait a minute. You raised how much money and it didn't succeed?
I raised like $300,000 to do all of the patenting, all of the prototype. I mean, like basically everything that you say not to do. Right. This was, between 2012 and 2015. At the most beautiful, it was such a cool Kickstarter. it wasn't successful. And everyone under the sun, including my family and all my friends, said, "All right, buddy, you did it. It was amazing. Didn't work. What do you do something else with your life?"
Oh no.
Yeah. And
No.
and you know, as you know, and I'm sure as all of the people who are sort of connected to you and watch this, when you're passionate about something, I don't care who's going to tell you that it's not going to work and to stop. You will figure out a way, a different path. And so for me, I remember walking on the beach, and clear as day, this sort of voice, and I don't know what your relationship is to ideas in the world, but it was said, it literally just said, "Kids, this is not for adults right now. It's for kids to start." And that's how we turned it into this skateboard that turns into a scooter and a balance board and a rebounder, primarily because I just wanted to give kids the opportunity that I had when I was a kid to get out into the world and not have to spend a ton of money on gear, but also have fun stuff.
So you had to switch gears. How did you figure out that you wanted to license it? Did that just pop in your head, and why did you pick this particular company as well?
Well, there were a number of factors that went into that. Number one, I had already gone down the path of doing it on my own and scrapping to just get some traction. So I wanted to figure out how I could jumpstart that and potentially piggyback off of somebody else's huge chain, right? Their manufacturing, their distribution, their marketing. And it also just so happened that I was over at a friend's house, and he said, "Oh, you should meet Rachel. She's the head of PR at Jakks Pacific." And, she and I hit it off. She saw something there. And this is before having transitioned it into the kids product. So I had all of the working prototypes of the fitness, and I said, "Hey, give me 4 months. I'm going to change this over. We're going to do all new renderings and all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to come back." And she was like, "Absolutely, I'll walk you in."
All right.
And that's how that decision was made.
All right, wonderful. Because it does so many different things. We're going to show all the different components. It's almost they're not line. Are they line extensions? But it does so much more. Explain that, and you're building that out even more, correct? Because it is a system, right?
Exactly right. Exactly. Essentially, because there is this universal locking mechanism, it allows you to ideate and think up any number of attachments that can drop into it. So we can do stuff for snow, we could potentially do stuff for water and electric, different demographics, different size boards. So basically, this is the foundation of an ecosystem that can grow indefinitely.
Okay. How involved are you now? I know when you license it, it probably takes a little bit longer than you expect for it to take. It's never that smooth, but now that you've been doing it, are you part of their team now? Are you helping develop other aspects of it? And what about from things like marketing? How are you helping them be successful?
So I had a very unique deal, which I'm extremely grateful for, because it showed me the ropes from start to finish. When I went in and pitched, the executive vice president of the division, which was the outdoor division at Jakks, as well as the vice president of marketing, they were very into it and very into the broader vision. But they also realized that they had some limitations as a toy company. And so they figured that it would be smart to bring in the action sports guy and his partner, who also comes from action sports and designer. So for the first 2 years, we were outside consultants, but essentially we were working on the brand all day, every day. Our first commercial, I wrote and cast and shot and edited with the teams. I've been very, very hands-on, as I love to be, with every aspect. And they were very, very good about allowing me to do these things. And I'm extremely grateful for that, because I got to learn how to build a Shopify and answer customer service emails. It was almost like a startup under a larger umbrella with a lot of support. And of course, they had tons and tons of input, and we would meet in the middle a lot of times for a lot of the marketing approaches and some of the line extensions and colorways and things like that.
Okay. So what does your day look like today? What do you do?
So as an entrepreneur, you're always out hustling, thinking about the next thing, developing the next thing. Right now, I have 2 new products in one of them is very far along in contract negotiations. It's another sort of ride-on ecosystem for kids. I'll say at the outset, I love outdoor active play products.
Okay.
It seems to be my wheelhouse and something that I'm that I have a good eye for.
Okay.
So I have that is on the verge of getting closed, at which point we'll jump into development for probably the next 6 months. Before it goes off and starts their, DFM and all of that tooling aspects. And then another product that is sort of a smart technology for kids for movement. And we're also pretty close to doing a licensing agreement and then working on 2 other products that aren't quite as far along, but are super excited. And I think also what I'm sure a lot of people can relate to is that when you're doing this, you're essentially a project manager, right? So every day I've got these columns that I'm like, all right, how do I push this forward? How do I push this forward? I need about an hour and a half to take a walk and walk with my dog and think about things to let things percolate. Right. So it could be nothing, or you can fill up your entire day with all the things that you probably should be doing. All right.
What bit of advice would you give someone that, like yourself, that has a dream? And how do you stay motivated? I mean, what would you tell that next person, given all the things that you've done, that's starting out?
That's such a big question. It's funny. I was on my walk today, and I knew that we were going to be talking, and I just started kind of role playing in my brain, and something popped in. It was like the 3 Ps: patience, perseverance, and play. Right? Everything is going to take 1,000 times longer than you think it's going to take. Like, even when you're just talking, even when everything is on your side of the court, design, right? Ideation, all of that stuff is still going to take a ton of time, right? I've got people that I work with that I love, and a week turns into 4, turns into 7, all right, just like that. Perseverance, I think, I can't tell you how many no's I get. Right? I mean, it's every day. I mean, you're constantly pitching and talking about passionately your ideas, and then, it has nothing to do with how good the idea is. It's just A, whether or not the other person can see your vision, or B, whether that vision fits into their world. And the other one is play. Like, if you're not playful with it, if you're not enjoying it, A, you're not going to be creative, right? And B, you're going to hate what you do, because you hear no enough. If you're not having fun with it and saying, like, I still believe in it, I still believe in myself, I still believe in, my ability to communicate these really fun, cool concepts that I love, then you're going to walk away.
Okay. Last question. Do you do it for the money?
So fundamentally, I do it to bring into the world the same thing that I received when I was a kid. I wasn't cool. I wasn't popular. I found skating and it changed my life. All right. Simple as that. And my job now that I'm being afforded this opportunity is to be able to provide that for other kids. So is money important? Yeah, absolutely. It's very helpful that we have a successful product that I can only focus on other things now. Otherwise, you're focused about, just trying to stay above water, and it's hard to have that creative spirit and that fire. But if it's a bad product, if it's not something that is put into the world that's making a difference in a good way, as far as I'm concerned, the money isn't important, because otherwise go be a stockbroker or a real estate agent. All of those things have potential significant upside. Yeah. But this is about passion and seeing and creating really cool things that other people and kids get to just light up about.
Feeds the soul, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
Thank you for coming on and sharing that story, and keep on helping kids. I think your mission is spot on, and especially do it in such a way that's fun.
Thank you so much for having me. I loved your book, and you're doing really, really great things for the community. So thank you.
Thank you.